Okay. So noticing that it's just you and me here now, does that seem in any way different?
Not really, because I'm still very aware that there's others in the call, but that's okay. I don't feel.
How do you notice that you're aware that there are other people on the call? How does that register in your body?
There's a little bit of discomfort, but it's not the type of discomfort that, put it this way, they're not the problem.
That's okay. We're not actually looking for the problem
You
or
know,
the cause of the problem. We're
yeah.
actually tracking what's going on in you, right?
Yeah.
And you've said you've noticed just a little bit of discomfort.
Yeah.
And whereabouts in your body do you feel that? If you feel it as a body sensation?
There's a lot more fluid in my mouth and my eyes.
Okay, more fluid in your mouth and your eyes.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. I can see it in your eyes. I can't quite peek into your mouth.
I'm also feeling a little bit warmer in my body.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And any part of your body in particular is registering that warmth?
More so my torso.
Yeah. And upper part or lower part or both?
Starts down in the stomach, lower abdomen area, and sort of comes up. Yeah.
And does it include your back body as well as your front body? No. So just your front body. So there's just warmth there. Does that feel uncomfortable as well? Slightly?
It's one of those feelings that I don't know whether it's going to go into a flush, like a blush, or a cold sweat type thing. It's just sort of sitting there hovering between where's it going to go. And
in that place of hovering, that could be quite uncomfortable, that it hasn't chosen its direction. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Yeah. So this is the place where your body hasn't quite decided which way it's going to go. And in that itself could be the most uncomfortable place.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So how is it just to name that that's what's going on for you?
Yeah, that's okay.
To change the comfort or discomfort in any way?
It hasn't changed it, but it's made it okay, if that makes sense. There's a feeling that I don't know whether I need to run.
Yes.
Or to flee.
Yes.
Or I don't know actually what my other option is. It's almost like I'm fighting that it's a drive just to escape.
Yes. Yeah. And so you don't know what your other option is because your body is pretty clear that the only option it would like to choose is to run. Right. Yeah. And how's your experience of that at kind of I need to run, or I need to choose to run, or I'm going to run, whatever it is. What's your experience of that in your body?
It's very familiar.
Yeah. Do you feel it anywhere other than in your torso? Because that's what you've named so far. Do you feel it elsewhere?
Maybe heart as well.
Yeah. And how do you know what's going on there? Is there a change in your heartbeat or?
Consciously, I'm not feeling that, but subconsciously, energetically, it feels like my heart has expanded to.
Keep saying that, expanded to.
In preparation.
So your heart is preparing.
Yeah.
And it's expanded to prepare. So, and you said that's probably quite familiar. I'm wondering what it thinks it needs to do. Have you got a sense of if you knew, if you could like tap into a thought or an image or an idea of what your heart thinks it needs to prepare for? Does some kind of image just pop up into your mind, or a word, a thought?
Escape.
Okay. Yeah. And what comes along with escape in your, is that just a strong word for you? Feeling
peace.
So you associate escape with peace. Is that right? So you're very much at the end point, the outcome of escape, you just go straight there, right? So that's kind of telling me there's a lot of stuff in between that you just skip over real quick, right, to get to the goodies, right? So there's a process there that tells me that might be a pattern that you've established to help you through life. And I don't know when you established it, but it's been a really helpful pattern.
Oh yeah.
Does that start to ring true, right?
Yep.
Yeah, right. And so how do you feel about us maybe slowing some things down and maybe going back and picking up some things that might feel a little uncomfortable, might feel a little bit strange, might feel a little bit odd, definitely won't feel like the desired outcome.
Yeah, I'm all good with that.
Yeah. Okay. How do you know that you're good with that?
I want to gain some understanding and some strategies so that when I notice this in the future, if I notice this in the future, I can understand what's going on. Even just our conversation so far, it's given me understanding already. And primarily to help me, because I know that this is a default pattern and it's not healthy.
So as I hear you talk now, Erena, it sounds like you're like, I hear more resonance in your voice, and there's more of Erena here. It feels like to me, sounds like to me. Can you sense that as well?
It's like there's a part of me that's taking charge again.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So the more regulated part, shall we say, is it kind of.
Let's hope so. Yeah.
Seems like there's a little bit more regulation has arrived, and I don't know whether that's in fact just a part taking over, or whether maybe it was a process so that the part actually, then becomes present.
Yep.
Because the reason I say it that way, it's not a theory, it's I'm looking at you and there's less wetness behind your eyes now, right?
It's leaking out.
Is it? I can't see the leaking out, but there also appears to be, there also seems to be some kind of completion in a mini wave has happened.
Yeah.
Right. And so when something kind of like, has its completion cycle, then there is an opportunity for something new to arrive and an often regulation. Yeah. Does that feel like it's possible with what we might be here looking at? Yeah. So if you think about your regulated self, does an image come to mind?
A little girl that is confident and vivacious.
Right. Would she be doing anything in particular, being confident? Is there something she might be saying or how she might be interacting with others?
Right at the moment, she's standing up for herself.
Some form of kind of injustice or inequality or something like that, yeah? Anything in particular that springs to mind?
No.
No. Can you feel what it feels like to be standing up for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And how does that register in your body? How does it feel?
It feels solid.
Solid.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit more about how solid feels?
Well, not wanting to run.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not quite sure if it's quite safe yet, but certainly safer than before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And is there a part of your body where the solid lands?
My back.
Your back.
Especially my spine, yeah.
Right. Lower spine, middle spine, upper spine, all spine?
The complete spine, yeah.
Yeah, right. So tell me a little bit how far you sense it traveling up and down, because, our complete spine is a fairly long, nice.
I suppose it's probably from top of my shoulders here.
Right.
Through to the base.
Yeah.
Yep. There may be fraction of, just right underneath the skull that's...
They're not quite there, and maybe right under the tip of the tailbone that maybe not be quite in. Is that right?
I think that's all there.
That's in.
Yeah.
Hey, so just notice that. Notice that you can notice all the way right through to the end of the bottom of your spine, so that if you kept going, it would actually take you into your body. Because we have that little bit of tailbone that actually is, isn't connected to anything. That is our original tail, right? That's where our puppy dog lives. I see a tiny little smile appearing on your face there.
How much is that doggy in the window?
Aha. Is that what you were hearing? Little song.
Yep.
Aha. Is that something that little confident girl would sing?
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. There wouldn't be any shyness about her singing it, would there? Do you want to try on that feeling? You don't have to sing the song, but try on that feeling of singing that song with real confidence, her confidence. Yeah. 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 So what I'm noticing in what I see in you, Erena, that's different from the first time that you sang the song to this time, is you seem more balanced. Like the experience is more throughout your body now rather than just in parts of your body. How does it feel? Does that connect to how you feel? My observation.
There's an aspect, absolutely yes, but there's some mental chatter going on at the same time that I'm, yeah.
And that mental chatter, do you think it would be, I'll ask you the question, your wise and confident part, do you think it would be most helpful to set it aside or more helpful to bring it in?
I think it's probably more helpful to set it aside. That's why it was trying to override it.
So how about I give you a little tool? You may or may have something better, but I have a little tool to set mental chatter aside that may be helpful for you. And that is to actually imagine putting it like on a table, like a little side table beside me, or, you know, into another room in the bathtub, for example, or, you know, depending on, it's like, you can come pick that up later. It's fine. But for now, it doesn't have to be within this process. So if that's helpful to you, to literally say, it's okay, I'm just setting you down and I'll come back and get you later.
Actually, now that you say that, maybe it is important to explore it, because what was coming to my mind was putting it into a balloon and letting it go, because it's something that keeps coming back to me. I can't sing that song without crying. And even though my body language may have been showing more of that confidence in that, I was crying inside.
Yes. Well, I don't know whether it wasn't showing confidence to me. What it was showing was
what it was,
the whole body experience rather than a half body experience.
Right, yeah.
And so that actually does make sense, is that you let yourself have more of the experience, which may have been a lot of grief and sadness, but you were allowing more of that experience rather than trying to block it, partition some of it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so great that you've identified, sometimes we can do that by trying on this idea of letting it go. We actually realize that maybe that isn't what is quite needed right now. And certainly maybe the balloon things, because they can float right back to you, can't they?
That is what made me wonder, because it's like, well, this keeps on coming back to me anyway, you know, over the years for a start. So if I do that, it's likely to.
So how about we say this is does this feel like then this could be a piece of work to actually do around the song and the circumstances of the song? And just something you would like to explore? Yeah, you don't have to know if it's a good piece of work, but if it's something that you want to explore, and we don't know where it's going to go. I mean, I'm guessing so far you didn't expect it was going to go here.
No, because I came in with the, you know,
particular
remembrance.
idea.
Remembrance of,
Yeah. So what we can do is we can trust that the body and the whole integrated body knows what at least needs to be done first, or what's more important, or or what's here. Okay. So what would you like to share about the circumstances around that song, or how it is for you to reflect upon it?
My awareness is that you can hope all you like, but you may not get what you want.
No.
Or
just stop with that one. And so there's a way of refining it, is it? So you can hope all you want, but you may not get what you want. Hope all you like, but you may not get what you want. Is there anything else to say this in another way? Or
you can know exactly what you want, but you won't get it, or you'll lose it.
Okay. You can know exactly what you want, but you won't get it, or you'll lose it. Now, I'm interested in the idea of losing it. Does that seem like somebody takes that away? Yeah. My guess is that that's the hurt. Yeah. Yeah. Then just notice what's going on now, right? How hard that is just to feel that things were taken. things that you really set your heart on. And it was a real little girl wanting that was really heartful. It was her whole heart of desire. And that's it. Yeah. Yeah. And so I can see that there's some breath moving, a little bit of breath, which is great, right? You're here and you're still breathing into this space. What do you notice is going on inside you now?
It's a settling.
Settling.
It's less overwhelmed.
Less bracing too. I think you were holding yourself a little tight before, and now there's a little bit of movement available. Yeah.
That's what happens when you try to hold back the tears.
Yeah, that's right. It's like trying to stem a huge tsunami, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it looks remarkably different in terms of what movement and freedom is in your body now. Does it feel quite different?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anywhere in particular that gets your attention in terms of the freedom or the movement available in your body?
Well, it's all over.
Might be related to that spine, because obviously the spine articulates everywhere. Look to me like your hips and, waist, pelvis, there's a reasonable amount of movement there. And that could be, again, in your legs. And is that right? All of those parts are all... Yeah, that's right. And, you're doing these small little twisty movements.
I'm sitting on a swivel chair.
Right. Yes, I often tell my clients that they're not allowed to move or swivel, but it seems like that actually seems kind of relevant, important, helpful, maybe for this process. Is that right? Like, because it's not like you're doing any kind of wild swinging movement.
No.
But there is some kind of need for a little bit of movement there.
I think it helps me to stay present.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. How do you know that?
It's a sense of freedom to be able to move, to be stuck in a chair and plonk there and say, don't move. There's no freedom in that. Whereas when you've got a chair that is able to move a bit, at least, although I may be sitting still, by moving the chair slightly, I think it gives me a sense of freedom.
And that could be related to those desires to run or flee or whatever, couldn't it? Can I just get you to just pay a little attention to your legs or your feet, one or both, whichever feels good, and just see if there is any kind of movement that wants to happen there.
They have been moving from being flat on the floor to being on their tippy toes, resting against the bar of the chair. Yeah. And at the moment, they're standing on their tippy toes, resting against the bar of their chair, almost like they're both actually like the runner when they're ready to push off from the blocks, that foot that's up against the blocks, but they're both there.
Yeah, right. So there's double the amount of power, right? Yeah. So there we have you really set to go through life, to make certain. It's almost like, is it like kind of like making sure that nothing really sticks? Is that like You know, it's like you get to your outcome, and when you get there, none of that stuff is stuck to you. You've got to your peace. Yeah. Yeah. Do you notice what happens in your body after you've done that yawn?
It's not satisfied because it wasn't a full yawn.
It wasn't enough. Okay. Yeah. So next time it comes along, I hope that you feel like you can give it full permission to go as far as it can go. Yep. Right. So I know that yawns don't always complete themselves, but we don't want to get in the way of them.
No, and I hate a half yawn so much so that I will it to be a full yawn, but sometimes it's only a half one.
Yes, agreed. So what I hear then is no amount of social politeness would stop you from having a good yawn.
It's still only a half do. No, social politeness goes out the window with my yawns.
Good. Yeah. So this is your body adjusting and making some quite significant autonomic changes, and it's trying to do that through the yawning process. Yeah. It's a kind of settling that one can't get, on that. It's a much deeper settling is what it's going for.
Yeah. Trying for.
Yeah, that's right. It's trying for. Yeah. So I'm going to take us back to somewhere along the timeline before the peace outcome. Somewhere along this trajectory, there's some things around the dog and the song and having some things taken away from you. And I'm thinking that, is there any memory that jumps into your head that you really wanted something and then it was taken from you?
There's no memory per se, but when you were talking at the beginning of the call and the event of me being left behind as a child came to my mind, and I thought, no, I've resolved that. But then it flashed through my mind about my son. And I couldn't get that out of my head. And I realised that there was something there. And what came up as I looked a little bit into it as we were going through was just that that he'd been abducted. Somebody had taken him.
That was your fear, correct?
It was, yeah. And I know that subconsciously, every time I hear about the child sex trafficking and the abductions of that. So yeah.
Yeah, and you don't have to hold back your feeling. You don't have to hold back your feeling, right? That you have a real response to this, both present and in the past. It sounds like the fear was there.
Yeah, I never understood it. Yeah, I never understood it in the past, but in just recent years, there's a connection somehow into that, and it's a terror. It's an absolute terror.
Yeah.
Not I don't feel it's actually for me.
Well, it's something
for others, but it affects me. It impacts.
Yeah, that's right. You feel the terror in your body, right? So we don't. The body doesn't necessarily have a 100% clear narrative like the mind tries to have. I'm not even sure that it really does. But if we can follow the body's narrative, which is telling us that there is a real and genuine terror around something bad might happen, to my child if you know, if I let him go, or if I maybe don't pay attention, or I'm not vigilant, I'm not careful. I don't know, any of those sorts of things, right? There's a story that the body has that says it has to be on full alert all the time to keep your son protected, right? Now, how does that land in your body?
Extreme sadness.
Yes.
Powerlessness.
Yes. Yeah. So when you say powerlessness, do you feel something happening in your body?
Consciously, I don't, but it feels like I'm being held back.
Feels like you're being held back.
And I can't help.
Yeah. So is somebody holding you back?
I can only presume.
Right. So that's how it feels like somebody's holding you back. Right. So I'm actually going to invite you to just feel into the felt sense of that in your body. And just see if you can just not do too much swiveling, because that will kind of that will start to discharge the feeling, right? So what we want to do is sense into this feeling of being held back. Just feel the feeling and don't worry about how it connects up to the story. Right, that's right. Just stay with your body. Your body needs you to be here with it. That's right. Yeah. To feel like you can be with this?
Yep.
Yeah. And is the breath a way of helping you be with that, or is the breath part of this process, right? So see if you can just hold back from using the breath to support you to be here a little, so that you can actually just feel some of this in your body a little more, right? Because this is another just habitual process that we might just try to interrupt a bit so that you get to feel something else, something new. And of course, you keep breathing. Yeah. Here we go. Was that a nearly complete yawn?
A nearly complete one.
Okay. Yeah. That seemed like it got a lot closer. So something's changed now from that experience that you were having. when you were thinking about, you know, your son and something bad might happen. And now there's something new, kind of like there's something seems to have moved through, and you're having a new experience, a just slightly different experience now. And being held back, the holding back feeling seems to have moved.
Yeah.
That's gone. Yeah. So your body really took you through that process of moving you through from feeling like you were being held back, and it kind of directed that, didn't it? Seemed like it was totally body directed.
Yeah, it was like I needed to go there.
Yeah.
And be and have that memory again.
Feel some of that holding back.
It actually was. It ended up being me being held back from trying to escape.
I thought so, yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not that little girl anymore.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. That was where I thought I could see it had gone, and I figured you would let us know as much as you needed to say, you know. Sometimes just having that experience on that body level, like you've just done, right? You didn't need to go into any memories, you see. You just,
well, I don't have the memory, so
no, there you go. So, but there's a body memory of being held, being restrained in some way, you know, no wonder, you know, flight and getting to freedom and peace as fast as you can is, you know, is your modus operandi. So how do you feel about that little girl who obviously had some feeling of being restrained or held back? Have you got any kind of new feeling about her now, or new understanding about her experience?
I would say not consciously, but I think the body memory, the subconscious stuff has shifted.
Well, it has, hasn't it? Like some of this has come up now into some kind of conscious behaviour.
Yeah. And when I think of that situation with my son, it doesn't have the charge that it had earlier on.
Yeah. It seems to me that situation with your son, you know, holding that, you know, still hijacking some of your memory banks, if you like, or some of your attention, was to create a gateway to some of this older experience, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So we can really thank that, you know, that memory and that experience, you know, the memory bank hijacking or whatever. We can really appreciate it or have some gratitude for it, that it's helped you find a way to process some of your own experience.
Yeah, well, I knew it was important when it came up. It just felt like it was. So, and I'm immensely grateful for that.
Yeah. Can you just tell me a little bit about how else you feel that's a bit different inside your body? Less charged, but what else is going on?
Perhaps more peaceful inside.
And you seem to be, like this is a little
new. It's like, okay, so I escaped for peace. Right. Now there's a little bit more peace inside.
Yeah. So there's two things there. There's a new pathway to peace. Now, my other wondering is this experience of peace itself different?
it's a more present piece, whereas I think the other piece was an absent piece.
Right.
If you can describe it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there a kind of image that comes with this, you know, to help us really understand the contrast? Help you in particular and help your body really tap into the contrast is the real intention of my question.
I'm happy to be here in my body, and it feels safer and a better place, or a nicer, more welcoming place to be than the piece out there. Because while there was the piece out there, it was a lonely, empty piece.
Yeah, right. That seems really significant, Erena.
Yeah, and it's only just as I've spoken those words that I've realised that. Yeah.
So there's more here in this kind of present piece. There's more here, right?
Yeah.
More here for you to interact with, to relate to be present with.
More possibilities, more potential. There was no potential out there. That was just a place to go.
Yeah, right.
And a place of emptiness. There was no richness or connection, whereas here there is connection and there's potential, which I can explore.
Seems really, really rich and important.
Yeah.
How do you feel now in your body?
Inquisitive. Be interesting to see what happens next.
Yeah.
What shows up.
Is there a part of your body you know is like that you can really sense where the inquisitiveness is?
Yeah, it's my heart. And my sense of creativity and play. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, the playfulness seemed to be apparent. Just in the way that you cocked your head at one point, there was was this kind of like, yeah. So what are you attending to? Because there was a little thing there, but yeah. So the play, yeah. Does it feel like here would be a good place to stop?
I think here's a good place. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel complete?
Yeah, I do. Yep. Yeah.